In this podcast episode, Dapper Laughs discusses his experience with cancel culture and his journey towards sobriety. Known for his controversial comedy character, he reflects on how he was one of the first social media influencers and comedians, creating characters like Dapper Laughs on Vine. His character was based on lad culture and exaggerated behaviors, often involving jokes about women and relationships. The turning point in Dapper Laughs' career came when he faced backlash for a joke that was perceived as promoting rape culture. The media targeted him, leading to the cancellation of his TV show, tour, and even pressure on his management to drop him. He faced intense scrutiny and public backlash, which ultimately led to a downward spiral in his mental health, leading to addiction and suicidal thoughts. Dapper Laughs describes how he struggled with guilt and shame over his past actions and the impact they had on his career and personal life. He grappled with the idea of responsibility as a public figure and the blurred lines between comedy and offensive behavior. Despite feeling remorseful, he also faced criticism from his audience for apologizing and felt isolated without a support system. Dapper Laughs acknowledges that his main coping mechanism for dealing with his problems was to escape through drinking and drug use. He describes how he would drink heavily and use drugs to avoid facing his issues, leading to a cycle of addiction and destructive behavior. He emphasizes the need to confront one's problems rather than trying to escape from them. He opens up about the strain his addiction put on his relationships, particularly with his partner. He shares how his behavior while under the influence of alcohol and drugs caused conflicts and led to a breakdown in communication. He reflects on the impact of his addiction on his partner's happiness and how getting sober has improved their relationship. The podcast delves into the loss of identity that often accompanies addiction. Dapper Laughs talks about how his addiction consumed his life and prevented him from truly knowing himself. He discusses the challenge of rebuilding his sense of self and finding out who he is without relying on substances to cope with his emotions. He shares how he eventually reached rock bottom, including contemplating suicide and living in a destructive cycle of addiction. Through therapy, rehab, and self-reflection, he began to understand the root causes of his addictive behavior and worked on building mental resilience. One key aspect of his recovery was realizing that the voice in his head, driving his addictive tendencies, was not truly him. By separating himself from those destructive thoughts and triggers, he was able to make healthier choices and focus on positive addictions like boxing and cold water dips. He also learned to challenge the negative narratives in his mind and find ways to cope with life without relying on substances. Dapper Laughs emphasizes the importance of sobriety in overcoming addiction and reclaiming one's life. He shares how sobriety has allowed him to confront his past mistakes, work through his emotions, and develop mental resilience. He discusses the benefits of facing challenges head-on and building a toolbox of coping mechanisms that do not involve substance abuse. The conversation shifts to the topic of men's mental health and the need for men to have spaces where they can open up about their emotions. He highlights the lack of support for men in dealing with their mental health issues and the importance of male friendships in providing emotional support. He shares his experience of creating a group for men to discuss their emotions and support each other. Dapper Laughs reflects on the lack of positive role models for men in society and the impact of toxic masculinity on men's mental health. He discusses the need for healthier representations of masculinity and the importance of teaching boys how to manage their emotions and build resilience. He acknowledges the role of parents in teaching their children about emotional well-being and the importance of passing on valuable life lessons. The podcast concludes with a discussion on forgiveness and self-love. Dapper Laughs emphasizes the importance of forgiving oneself and others for past mistakes and letting go of self-loathing. He highlights the role of self-compassion in overcoming addiction and mental health struggles, and the need to keep promises to oneself to build a positive self-narrative.